My name is Aster. I've received many requests to go over more Epic the Musical songs. Rather than go over the implications related to the Odyssey itself, though, I'd rather go over what I actually know best: songwriting. The project has many merits, but also many lyrics I'd call questionable. I want to go over 5 of these questionable lyrics from the Troy Saga, the first EP in the project, discuss their issues and how I might rewrite those myself. I know rewrite is a loaded term, but I really mean no disrespect. I just really like talking about lyricism and teaching people about it. This video is meant to be educational, and I've wanted to do something like this for a long time. I'm just combining it with the many requests I've gotten to go over Epic. I hope this video helps you better understand the nitty-gritty technicals of lyricism through example. Let's get into it. The first stanza I'm going to look at is from The Horse and the Infant. This is the son of none other than Troy's very own Prince Hector. Know that he will grow from a boy to an avenger, one fumed with rage as you're consumed by age. If you don't end him now, you'll have no one left to save. I'll get to the elephant in the room in a moment. Let's go line by line. This is the son of none other than Troy's very own Prince Hector. Something that Epic does a lot is what I call over-elaboration. This line is a good example because it adds 2 qualifiers that effectively mean the same thing. None other and very own both add emphasis in a similar way. You could have said this is the son of none other than Troy's Prince Hector, or this is the son of Troy's very own Prince Hector without losing anything. Having both is very anime phrasing, and knowing the writer's inspirations, that doesn't surprise me. When we say something like it was none other than Johnny, we're emphasizing the surprise and importance of the subject. When we say something like it was our very own Johnny, we're emphasizing the surprise and the importance of the subject as well, just with the added possessive. What Epic was trying to do here was add an internal rhyme between son and none. You can tell because the line that follows the first one also has an internal rhyme in know that he will grow. The problem is twofold. First, rhyme should match the emphasis of the meter. This is not the case here, and you could hear it in the singing and how it sings the phrase with a very flat rhythm. This is the son of none other. With the rhyme not landing on the emphasis, it doesn't even register as a rhyme. This is not an issue in line 2 for the record, where the more spaced out words allow for know and grow to land on the proper. Those internal rhymes don't even feel necessary. Troy and boy also rhyme, and they work fine because they're also on the right beats. It's more seamless, but I don't think you need to go set a rhyme scheme of AABC, AABC for 2 lines. It's not adding anything. I think newer songwriters often believe rhymes add inherent meaning, but they really don't. Showing off is fun, but storytelling and reasonable word choice should always come first. An overly complex rhyme scheme can severely limit you in both respects. The second issue with line 1 is the crammed syllables, which affect the meter, which affects the emphasis. The writer really wanted that internal rhyme, but it came at the detriment of the line's integrity. So how would I change it? Definitely by chopping off some syllables first. 16 syllables in one line is kind of ridiculous. Cut it down to he is the son of Troy's very own Prince Hector. This prevents the line from feeling smushed or rushed, and removes what feels like a crammed-in extra beat at the beginning. Okay, now we can talk about the far worse line in this stanza. One fumed with rage as you're consumed by age. The use of fumed is so incorrect that the lyrics on YouTube Music outright replace it with fueled, a better fitting verb. Unfortunately, he definitely says fumed here. Jorge's official transcripts confirm it. He did it to rhyme it with consumed. To fume is to emit a gas, and as a transitive verb, which it's being used as here, it means to treat with fumes. For example, you might fume a basement to kill an infestation of bugs. To say someone is fumed with rage means that the rage is a gas being blown onto them. I think where the writer got tripped up is that to fume can also mean to be in a state of frustration and anger. You can say someone fumed over a breakup or about bad traffic. However, one fumed with rage is just an objectively incorrect use of vocabulary. Like the YouTube Music lyrics wanted to say, fueled with rage would have worked just fine, although fueled by rage is the more common phrasing. Then we have consumed by age. This is better, but the word emphasis is wrong. The song says it like this.
One fumed with rage as you're consumed by age.
As you're consumed by age. When spoken, this word is supposed to be pronounced consumed. There was an attempt to rhyme one fumed with consumed, which is how this happened. But a rhyme is never worth phrasing this awkward. Again, internal rhymes only restrict you, and too many can lead you to writing sentences that are just plain bad. It's a shame because consumed by age isn't really a bad lyric in and of itself. It's an interesting way to refer to someone's strength waning as they get older. Now, the stanza ends with, "If you don't end him now, you'll have no one left to save." In theater, a common rule of thumb is that a big ending line should generally be rhymed perfectly because it clicks everything together and it lands well. Our ears register it as a huge deal. Rage and save are close, but no cigar. To me, it's not a rule of thumb I adhere to strictly or really at all, but I bring it up so we could consider this. A rhyme between grave and save. This is where rhyme can really have meaning. By linking together the words grave and save so strongly, we match a word related to death with a word related to preserving life. Subconsciously, we recognize the thematic opposites. Another thing I change here is definitely the word end. It doesn't hold the weight of a more direct verb. Kill would have come off as a direct command, and that hard plosive K makes the command feel dire. You don't have to algo speak your lyrics, you can say kill. Let's try this. He's the son of Troy's very own Prince Hector. Know that he will grow from a boy to an avenger, mighty and brave as you're dragged towards your grave. If you don't kill him now, you'll have no one left to save. It's not perfect, but to me, it reads far more cleanly. You may argue, but Aster, I was able to understand what he meant in the original lyrics. To that I say, that doesn't mean it was good. If you make a terrible pizza, I can tell it was meant to be a pizza. That doesn't make it good. As Mark Twain once said, you perceive what he is intending to say, but you also perceive that he doesn't say it. I'm gonna put that up on a sign, don't make me tap the sign. Next, we move on to Full Speed Ahead. 600 men, 600 miles of open sea, but the problem's not the distance, it's what lies in between. Okay, first off, the use of the word miles. I know I said I wasn't going to get into story context much, but the ancient Greeks did not use miles as a unit of distance. Yeah, artistic license, but it's like a world building thing. Very little of epic actually feels like ancient Greece, if that makes sense. Characters have a modern American way of speaking, and when that happens in a non contemporary setting, it can take you out of it. Now, let's really think about the next sentence. But the problem's not the distance, it's what lies in between. To be able to use the word in between, you must be referring to two distinct points or objects. Distance already means the space between two distinct points or objects. I can say what lies in between Troy and Ithaca, I cannot say what lies in between the distance. The correct phrase would be the problem's not the distance, it's what lies within. This line is also pretty cramped. The second part comes in immediately, almost cutting off the first.
Problem's not the distance, it's what lies in between.
And yes, it's a call and response, but I feel like it would land better if you remove just one syllable from the first part. Okay, first, let's resolve the miles issue. This can be done by rephrasing the sentence to not need the unit of measurement. What's trying to be said here is that the real challenge is yet to start. We can hone in on that. 600 men, 600 souls on open sea. I feel like that better reflects how important each individual is and how precarious their lives are on the open sea, a setting which we already associate with the unknown and danger. Letting inherent metaphors or associations do the work helps a lot with conciseness. Trust your audience. As for 600 souls, the previous stanza of the song is 600 men under my command, with only one goal in mind, make it back alive to our homeland. So there's a logical progression if you then establish the individual importance of each man. Obviously, everyone wants to make it back alive, but the word souls reminds us that each person matters, because we associate souls with someone's individual being. We can further follow up by continuing the idea of the line under my command. Odysseus is responsible for ensuring everyone comes back alive. That's a lot for anybody to handle, and we can add a line to express that feeling. We have sea as one part of the rhyme, so why not go with something easy? End the stanza with me. 600 men, 600 souls on the open sea, guide us through the waters, it's all down to me. Now, I actually moved the response line to the middle of this. I think it's important to give Odysseus the solo moment at the end, especially since he starts the story with an I have to save everyone mindset. You want to see that pressure acknowledged. Plus, it's being acknowledged in a line that's lingered on. Full Speed Ahead also has this stanza. There in the distance, I see an island, I see a light that faintly glows. Maybe they're people setting a fire, maybe they'll share some food, who knows. One of the overarching issues you'll see in Epic's lyrics is how blunt they are. This isn't the worst example, and blunt lyrics aren't inherently wrong, but you can see the cracks forming. Blunt lyrics become a problem when they overtake the conceit of lyricism. When the plain description of what's happening overwrites any emotion or personality, it feels like I'm just being told things and this doesn't need to be a song. It's especially noticeable when the language being used is repetitive or over-elaborated. Lyricism is more than just having the words be to a melody, it refers to the emotional and sensual expression, what we actually connect to. As for the lines I mentioned, again, not the worst example, but let's look at what's actually important in this stanza. The two key ideas here are that there's a potentially inhabited island and that the crew might be able to get help. Everything else is superfluous. I see a light that faintly glows is over-elaborated. I see a faint light achieves the exact same thing in 3 fewer syllables. Lights glow, we know that, you don't need to tell us. We know it's going to be faint too, since it's there in the distance. Honestly, you could probably combine lines 2 and 3, establish the light and possible fire in one go. There in the distance, I see an island, a flickering light, a fire's dance. Change the meter a bit, but it works. I also added some more poetic language to make the line feel like it belongs in a song. I'm not saying every line has to be ultra poetic. Most musical lyrics aren't, since information has to be conveyed, but a wider breadth of vocabulary and some use of metaphor helps with conciseness, imagery, and sensory qualities. Plus, it's theater, you can be dramatic. Now, line 3 can combine possible habitation and possible assistance. Could it be people, possible allies? Now we have an open line. We can add more imagery, details, or characterization. Let's try focusing on the naivete of the stanza. Could it be people, possible allies, Captain, why don't we take the chance? Dance and chance isn't the most creative rhyme, I know, but I haven't been sleeping well, so cut me some slack. This is all to say that conciseness is king. The more efficiently you could go through the literal, the more you can focus on what actually helps us connect to the characters. Next, we'll look at similar issues in the song Open Arms. My friend, I wish that I could say that I agree, but look at the way this fruit is glowing, and filled with glowing seeds. It took me a while to notice just what kind of fruit they eat. It's a lotus, it controls your mind and never lets you free. Total lack of lyricism, bluntly, plainly stating what's happening with way more words than necessary. This stanza is 51 words long, all to say, we can't take this glowing fruit, it will mind control you. I mean, but look at the way this fruit is glowing and filled with glowing seeds. Yes, if the fruit has glowing seeds, I assume it's glowing in general. I suppose both the flesh and the seeds can be glowing independently, but does that really matter? The fruit is indeed luminous, which is apparently a tell for it being a lotus. You can truncate both those lines into, but look at how this fruit is glowing. Oh, and I want to detour for just a second to say that this is all being sung over like a tropical house rhythm. It took me a while to notice just what kind of fruit they eat. This sentence could also be truncated, though it's less obvious why. When your lyrics are too blunt and you don't write more than the literal, you are forced to fill the empty space. These syllables are rushed in the actual sung line, but if that syllable count was intended, it shows the problem. It took me a while to notice can easily be condensed into I've realized. That's 9 syllables reduced to 3. However, if you have no idea what else to say, you feel like you have to extend that line with filler words. You also see it in line 1. My friend, I wish that I could say that I agree. You can remove the 2 instances of that and say and lose nothing. My friend, I wish I could agree. So how do we make this more theatery? Like I said, don't be afraid to get dramatic. The lead-in of the refrain is greet the world with open arms. You can have Odysseus respond to this blind optimism by a sharp cutoff to show his frustration. Don't. My friend, I wish I could agree. But someday you will learn it's never simple as it seems. Actually, hold on. Let's make this fancy. Theatrical. Don't. Though you smile, I must warn, you will learn the sweetest flowers hide the cruelest thorns. Yeah, I like that. I like how serious it sounds. You can't be afraid to go all in with theater. People are dancing in silly costumes and singing. I think a lot of modern theater can sound so corny because the writers are afraid to be more sincere and cringe, so they dial it back, and that makes the song sound weak. The actors can't lean into the words. You don't need to do that. Use those intense words and phrases. Make your songs mean something. Let's continue. You will learn the sweetest flowers hide the cruelest thorns. That glowing fruit that's tempting you right within your reach, it's a lotus, it ensnares your mind and never sets you free. In the last line, notice I mostly kept it, but I changed 2 words. I changed controls to ensnares because I found ensnares to be more visceral and it gives you that visual of something grabbing you and not letting you go, like a snare trap. I found controls to be more neutral. I also changed lets to sets because sets you free is the common idiom, while lets you free sounds unnatural in English. It technically works. Let's in this context means allow, so it never allows you free, but we'd usually say lets you go free or lets you go. And yes, it technically means the same thing, but don't make me tap the sign. Further, I entirely changed it took me a while to notice just what kind of fruit they eat. What do you mean it took you a while? If Odysseus is so sharp and world weary, why did it take him a while to notice glowing fruit? Word choice matters for characterization more than anything else. This line is another example of the writer throwing in unnecessary and, in this case, outright inaccurate words to fill the syllables. Tiny details matter so much, but let's not forget the big ones. Next up, we have an excerpt from Warrior of the Mind. Goddess of wisdom, master of war, my life has one mission: create the greatest warrior. 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 Okay, war and warrior aren't even close, and though she tried, the singer cannot make this work.
Create the greatest warrior.
You cannot change the fact that warrior is pronounced with an at the end and that it is emphasized on the first syllable. I'm sorry. It's not like war was lacking in any potential lines either. I think what happened here goes back to the problem of blunt lyrics. The writer wanted to directly state Athena's goal, but he also spent the first two lines stating Athena's titles, so he had to cram in the direct statement into the last two lines. So this whole stanza has to be reworked to front load the actual meaning. Something like, fierce as a lion, sharp as a blade, deft as Orion, a king worth the efforts that I've made. We don't need Athena's titles. We know she's the goddess of wisdom and strategy. That's common knowledge, especially if you're sitting down to listen to a Greek mythology musical. Plus, the lead-in of the previous line being, have you forgotten your purpose? Let me remind you, makes it seem like Odysseus is being described as the goddess of wisdom and master of war, not Athena. Instead, with the rework, we have traits that hype up Odysseus while also reminding him of the person he's supposed to be. Athena hates to waste time, so we also get that character beat here. Two lines that do solid work. Okay, that was a fun little experiment. Did you like this format? Are there any other lyrics you want to see me rework for educational purposes? Let me know in the comments. Keep writing and have a wonderful day.